Hi, everyone. Today, Shonda and I have the honor of having a special guest, Mr. Leon. And we've noticed that we've been talking a lot about relationship dynamics. A lot of the questions that we've gotten have been in regards to relationships specifically with men, that type of relationship. So we brought him here today so you can see the other or the balance of it, right? And so that we can stop being so hard on ourselves as women, that this is not just, and it's absolutely not at all our faults or because of us, or there's nothing wrong with you, but men in our communities are also dealing with a lot. So that's what Mr. Leon's going to speak to today. So we stop taking everything so personally. Shonda, Leon, you guys want to take it from here?
Yeah, dang, that's so good. Y'all already know I'm gonna talk enough into this. You guys have not formally been introduced to Mr. Leon, and this dude is just amazing. I know he's very gentle and humble and doesn't like people to say that, but an amazing giant because of the work that he has done. I'm not talking about the accolades. He's going to tell you guys that because you need to know his past before getting here, but just the work that he's gotten to get beyond it. I think so many men, particularly Black men, need to hear this story so they know that there's hope on the other side. So I'm going to let my brother take it, and then when he's done, I'll go ahead and start reading the questions.
Okay. What do you want me to start, Shonda?
And then when you're ready, we'll start I'll start reading the questions.
I didn't hear the volume. Your volume shut off when you start talking. What was that again?
Oh, I'm sorry for that. I said you can start letting them know just who you are, who is Leon, because many of our followers don't know who you are. And then we letting them know what your purpose is, who you are. And then when you're just done talking, which take your time, I'll start going into the questions, and then we'll start talking to the people from there, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. Good day, y'all. I Leon Walker, retired from the Navy in 2015. I served 32 years. My goal was to join the military at age 8 or 9 because both my parents never talked about college, and they both dropped out in the 9th grade. So my thing was, I knew I was going to join the military at 9. Just didn't know which branch. But the problem I had was concentrating, learning. I didn't know that I would be able to pass the test. Ultimately, failed the test 4 times and passed on my 5th time. Wound up serving 32 years. Been rewarded and awarded a lot. Served on 5 ships, 15 years out at sea. I became an author in 2016. I also started talking about relationships around maybe 2012 or 13, somewhere in there. But I've always wanted to help people. I always wanted to give people life. I always wanted to share my story with people. I did it as a young man because I knew that it would help other people. And so I started talking about these things back in 1984, 85 when I joined. So I knew I had a gift. I knew I had the passion to help. I knew who my parents were. They both were very loving, caring people. And so I learned those traits later on in life of who I can become based on who my parents were. I studied my parents and I still study my parents. I'm an author of 2 books, published books so far. I have 2 more coming. I speak to the youth. I speak to young adults. I speak to older men and women. I talk about relationships. I talk about mindset, narcissism, mental blocks, and a host of other things. Been all around the world in 32 years. I'm divorced, been divorced since 2007. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, and I have 4 godchildren. No grandchildren yet. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you for that, Leon. I really appreciate it. You're just dope. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just jump right into it. This first question came from a guy. And again, I speak in the, I don't just summarize what's said. If it's someone that we know, we actually read it through. So you'll see how, if it's someone that you know, what it looks like, how they should respond back to you. So I'm just gonna read the conversation. Okay. And Black people call everybody family and cousins. So don't be trying to look down my family tree to see if it's a cousin. We call everybody cousin when we're related. Cousin, brother, sister, because we all connected. All right. So I got a message that said, do you have a degree in mental health or something? And I said, no, my degrees are in adult education and my master's is in management. But I've seen the pain my whole life. Very similar situation to Leon's, actually. I've submitted myself to a mental health facility for a month without my children. and to claw my way in healing. I've been chipping away hard at it for over 6 years. I have peace, real peace for the first time ever. My life, I lack nothing. Once I got here, I noticed so many of the way I thought was not good for my body. And I heard so many others with their issues asking for help. So I created this group along with Suzie so we can heal together, to be the true us we know we all feel inside of us, and we only want the best in life. Let me know if that answered your question. He said it did answer my question, and I'm sorry to hear you went through that, because I had no idea, but I'm glad you found help and are feeling a lot better. I've been going through a whole lot, and I just can't find my way out. And I really can't open up to no one. I don't know who to talk to or how to start, nothing. I said, I totally understand that, cuz I legit been there. I'm here with questions, and it can stay between us. Also, I have a guy friend who's been in the same path with me, and his name is Leon. I have him tagged on a few posts. You can message him or I with questions on what you feel, and he will speak directly to you. What I will tell you is most of what I've been dealing with in adulthood stemmed from my childhood. Our mamas did the best that they were capable at that time, but it didn't mean it didn't hurt us in the absence of our fathers. We can still love and honor them, but we can say ouch to heal. But regardless, I want you to know for the first time, you're safe in your healing, safe in your questions, safe in your quest to get back to the real you inside of you. I'm so sorry. I understand the pain. And so he says, this is when he actually is saying what the issue is. So some of the words may be triggering, but I'm going to read it so it's in his wording. I fucked up so much in the past and still am today. So much on my mind, so much guilt I carry. I'm never happy. I don't really know what love is. I've done so much wrong. I feel like, how can anyone truly love me? I don't feel loved by no one. Then I've been going through lots of medical stuff for the last couple of years. It's hard to hold on lots of times. I don't feel like I'm going to make it. Lots of times I don't want to make it. My brother is locked up. I miss him like crazy. Sometimes I feel like it's my fault he's locked up. I don't have a good relationship with my kids. Like, I wish for all my family lived kind of far. I'm just making myself and everyone around me miserable, and I can't stop. I don't know what to do. I tried to open up to my mom before just to tell her I was going through a lot and felt really depressed, but she doesn't know how to help me either. And she said she was really saddened to hear all of this from me and didn't know what to think. And I don't want to put no extra stress on her. I worry about losing her every single day. So I'll let you speak into that, Leon.
That was a lot. I took notes. First of all, what I get from him is that I think he has the same issues I had. Avoidance, afraid to love because maybe his dad didn't love him, right? We lost our house, and when I was in the 6th grade, I was 11. I was sent to live with another lady that I didn't know. My mother and my brother moved to a hotel. My sister was sent to live with another lady that she didn't know. My father was off and working. So I was in the streets at 11. From that point on, when we lost our house, my parents got divorced. I told myself I'll never get married. I'll never have children. Marriage is for broken men, financially broke, spiritually broke, and mentally broken. So I avoided it. The first thing that started resonating in my soul was avoidance, coupled with walking away, running away, turning away, shutting down, fear of love, fear of commitment. I told myself if my mother could leave me, any woman could leave me. So I made myself not want to love. I made myself not like the word love. I didn't want to commit. I was dealing with emotional dysregulation, and I was dealing with being emotionally detached. And so that went almost my entire life up until probably my 40s without therapy. It didn't help until I started getting therapy and talking about these things, because I was blaming everything on my mother. I didn't blame anything on my father. And that's the problem we have in these days, where men want to be masculine and afraid to tap into their feminine side. We are, both of our parents, our mothers carried us for 9 months. So from that, we had naturally nurturing, we had nutrients, we had love and care, we had our mothers talking to us. But when we come out of the womb, we become this little boy, this little man, this little masculine dude that is told not to cry, not to love. It's okay to hurt women. It's okay to talk down to women. It's okay to be disrespectful. The men in my family were put on a pedestal. The men in my family were treated like royalty. The women were treated bad. The women came second. They came secondary. The women were expected to be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. And this is what I saw. The men went to work. The women stayed at home and cooked and cleaned. So he's dealing with a lot of emotional detachment. He's dealing with a lot of fears. He's dealing with a lot of unanswered questions about his dad. Maybe, maybe not, but he didn't mention his dad. He talked about his mom. He said his mom can't help him. He said he's messed up. I said the same thing. I had a lot of guilt, just like he did. I was never happy. I was always, my happiness was always short-lived. So he's dealing with a lot of different traits. I don't call anything out because I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a psychotherapist. I'm not clinically qualified to diagnose anyone, but I know the traits when I hear them, when I see them. I didn't know what love is. I fought it. I knew what, it was easy for me not to care. It was hard to care because I was afraid of being abandoned by another woman, because I was abandoned by my mother. My grandmother abandoned my mother. My sister abandoned, my mother abandoned my sister. My father took me in. My father took my sister in. So my mind, the men are the ones that do everything and keep everything together. But I was wrong after I went through therapy. I found out that I was wrong. And so what we have to remember, I didn't have good relationships either, because I didn't want good relationships. I was more comfortable with running away. What we have to remember is that it's two parts of therapy. First part is therapy. Then the second, rehab for short. People say, rehab, I'm not addicted to drugs. Yeah, you are. The drug is your ability to avoid responsibility. Your drug is your ability to avoid love and care. Your drug is your ability to avoid being passionate, being honest, being truthful. That is a drug. I was addicted to that because it made me feel comfortable, because I didn't have to commit to anything or anyone. So I highly recommend that young man. His rehab is going to be talking to people like myself, talking to other men. His rehab is going to be being around good, positive people, great role models, people that have had successful upbringings. I didn't have a successful upbringing. So you know what? I was jealous. I was envy of the people that did have great upbringings, the big houses, the family, the mothers and fathers were married for 35 years. I was envious of that. And so I had a lot of jealous streaks in myself. So his thing is therapy. Yes, definitely. But after therapy, he needs to go to rehab and put himself around positive people.
I mean, let the church say amen. The pastor has spoken. The collection plate has been passed. Suzie, you have to add.
Yeah, perfect answer. The only thing I wanted to add to that, and this kind of relates to something we talked about in a previous recording, was you touched on so many symptoms. Avoidance, I always call number one, and worry. And then I wanted to talk about guilt, though, because number of reasons. We'll talk more in detail later, but in regards to when we talked about forgiveness, right? And so when you're in the heat of it and you're so angry at, in this case, a mom or me, assailant or whatever, then it's really hard to even like wrap your head around the idea of forgiving someone. So something that we might have more control over that alleviates a lot of these symptoms, or it's like the gateway to recovery, I think, is being able to sit with yourself and forgive yourself at least. So I think this is something that it seems like it's more affecting of people of color, and we can talk about that on another day. But that was just something that it reminded me of, that at least you can own your role in things or not and quit blaming yourself. And that can be a step towards your ability to have more positive thoughts around other people as well. Yeah, that was all I had for that.
Yeah, that's forgiveness is huge.
Absolutely. I don't want to go too deep into the weeds, because I think both of y'all nailed it. I had avoidance written down on my notes too. But I did put on here, because one of the things that Suzie called up is people of color issues, particularly Black people. I don't know what your income situation is like. I don't know what your therapy situation is like. I know that we're trying to find therapists that can work for actual Black people, because we need it. We need it drastically. In the midst of finding that, and if you need help finding a therapist, reach out and let us know, and we can see how we can help you, or we can ask the village. But in the midst of that, I did send him to take the love language test to even learn what he is and who he is and how he even perceives love for himself. The 16 personalities test, so he can learn who he is, and attachment disorder, because it doesn't definitely sound like he has a secure attachment. And so for him to learn what those things look like, because until you can get into therapy, there are some self-help tools that you can do along the way to get that. But definitely let us know. I love that Leon heard some things, Suzie heard some things, and I heard some things that automatically keyed us into the symptoms. But we are not mental health professionals. We just people to cloud our way out. But we're aware of what those symptoms are. So instead of us giving diagnosis, we know what the symptoms are to tell you in which direction you need to look at and go. And Suzie hit on people of color, and I don't want to go into the weeds of this, but I do want to leave this here so Black people understand. I'm not saying that there was any diagnosis spoken into this previous level. I'm just speaking to it from a hierarchy level of what is going on in Black America in this country currently. White supremacy has already shown its rear ugly face, so many Americans are aware that it exists finally for the first time. Black Americans have known it our whole lives. But now people are starting to grapple with it and see it. And what they're seeing when you actually look at, like I just said, the symptoms, is it actually mirrors what Leon talked about, is narcissists and narcissism symptoms and what's happened and what's keeping Black America from doing and being and prospering who and what they should have done. This has been going on throughout generations and generations. Well, a lot of people who have narcissistic parents actually turn out to be bipolar. Do not quote me on the numbers. I didn't have it written down and I don't want to specifically say it, but it's very common for a person with a narcissistic parent or parent type to become bipolar. Well, if that's the case, if we're just saying that white supremacy in the Black culture is narcissistic, it will not be unusual for Black America to exhibit the symptoms that go in alignment with bipolarism when things that hurt us happen. So just pay attention to the symptoms, pay attention to the signs. Don't get caught up on the labels. Just listen and look.
Shonda, do you want anything else to say about this message thread, or you have another one to go over, right?
Yeah, I could definitely do another one. If anybody had anything else that they wanted to add in, definitely go ahead. And I'm searching for the other one now while we're in this period.
You know, I really think that one of the major problems with Black America, right, is that I think I know for a fact we do. We carry on, we push forward the PTSD trait from slavery, untreated. I know what it's like to have PTSD. I have it too, severe PTSD. But there's a lot of Black people, and this is not to exclude the whites that were misused, mistreated. This is not to exclude the Asians or the Latino race, but Blacks have a lot of untreated PTSD from slavery. I truly believe that because you think about it, just say Blacks and Latinos, right? When we get angry, we band together. The Latin community band together longer. They're more prideful. They have more respect for each other. The only time Blacks band together, and I may talk about this one day, is when our last president, when we get a president like that strikes fear in people, Black people, what happens? They come together. What happens? They start these groups. They start loving each other. Black women start saying, you know, I'm gonna walk my son to school. I'm gonna walk my Black son to school because I don't want him to get shot or beat or jumped by police or gangs or white supremacists, whatever. A person like that in leadership will force people, be it directly or indirectly, to come together, okay? When we don't have that type of fear over our head, we drop our guard. Look what happened now. This next president, cool, laid back, chill, relax. Blacks are cool, laid back, chill, and relax. When I had, as a Black leader, Blacks let their guard down instead of pushing me forward and supporting me. When I've seen Blacks operate under white leaders, they were more tense, agitated, afraid, but they were on top of their game. But we don't hold ourselves accountable and having strong leaders like that. The Latin community does. I mean, they have the issues too. Poor whites have the issues. Asians have the issues, but they stick together. I had a student, I taught for 2 years in a school that was 96% Hispanic. And a parent told me her son was having issues in school. He was smoking weed, joining gangs. And she said, talk to him about LOD CTB. And he was Mexican. And I sat him down and I said, what is LOD CTB? He said, I don't know. I said, I'll talk to your mother. It's life or death crossing the border. You remember that. They came over here, crossed the border, and it was life or death. Some of them got hit by cars on the freeway. Some of them got shot by police. Some of them got bit by snakes. And you forgot about your grandmother and grandfather coming here so that you can have a better life. And here you are smoking weed and fighting, and they never did any of that. Because you are here is because they risked their lives to get here. And he started crying. And I said, you need to remember life or death crossing the border, LOD crossing the border. With Blacks, it could be ships across the ocean, or whatever the case may be. We need an acronym to remind us that we are here for a reason. We're not weak. We don't come secondary. Nobody comes secondary, but we have to stick together. We have to band together for our ancestors that got us here, that came here and lost their lives for us. Same thing with the Latinos, same thing with poor whites, same thing with Asians. So the leadership that's in front of us, it's sad to say, but when Blacks are afraid, they come together under fear. But we're not afraid. When there's no fear, we don't stick together. We go back to our old ways.
Whew, I mean, yeah. Suzie, did you have anything to add to that? I have nothing.
No, just that it's, again, like so many parallels and so many similarities, and like the post-colonial identity, the way that, of course, we've been treated as well in this country, hearing stories about being allowed to sleep in people's barns when coming to do migrant work and stuff like that. And how, yeah, just the lack of visibility as humans. But then, of course, they're totally different. And even this, our parents came because they wanted to, and that's not a history that you guys have in your community. So navigating that, of course, is totally different from where we're coming from as a people, as migrant community in the United States. But yeah, that's all I wanted to, just solidarity.
Yeah, I'm going to request something different that I didn't ask you guys for now, but I don't want to mix this with the other two, because this is something in its own entity. So will it be okay that we end this, because I want this to stay to itself, and then we send the link and we pick back up and re-record the other two? Is that okay?
Yeah. I didn't mean to take us off track.
No, you didn't take us off track. You have us directly on track, and I want it to stay that way. And if I don't want to record extra stuff in this conversation, because I don't want to dilute it.
I got you.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Leon, for being with us for this conversation. Stay tuned for part 2 coming right up.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank
you.
you.
We'll send the link now. Okay.